Chief Queenie, a true independent. We hustle hard, brute force with precision. Crisscross, flex, independent. Move fast with flash, big business. Bout cash, no fast, mind of business. Girl, yes, we the winners. I'm in the heart, yeah, we be winning. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not the flex. So shorty, I'm stripping with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. So shorty, I'm stripping with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. So shorty, I'm stripping with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. So shorty, I'm stripping with the text. Bang, my label be the image. Shares, yeah, we got plenty. You deserve a percentage. Us, we only come for digits. Guy, we, they be winning. Guy style, we the signal. Phoenix. BBT talk, yeah, she got figures. BBT bot, yeah, she be winning. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not the flex.
Hey, y'all, welcome back.
With the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not the flex. So shorty, I'm struggling with the text.
Pull up.
We pull up with the homies, yeah, not the flex. So shorty, I'm struggling with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not the flex. So shorty, I'm struggling with the text.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Guy Live B2B Jam Session with your boy, Tim Salau, Mr. Future of Work. It's such an honor to be having another episode with you all. I always appreciate when you all tune in to these amazing episodes with amazing thought leaders and just brilliant people who are amazing at their crafts and who have a platform of their own. Today, I am really excited to be talking to the one and only Colin Jeffries, who leads Jeffries Marketing and is just a superstar in helping you truly achieve how you brand, market, and position your company to succeed, not only in the times that we're moving towards, but through a pandemic, adapting, right? And more importantly, thinking about the culture. He's also a bit passionate about the future of work, and he really has a broad base of knowledge on a variety of different topics. And we're going to talk a little bit about his life as well as a father. But, we're really going to talk a little bit about how do you really build a marketing company or marketing team of your dreams so you succeed as a business owner. With that said, Jeffrey, Mr. Collins, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Absolutely, Tim. Thank you so much for having me.
Colin, I'm so excited to talk with you, man. Tell us a little bit about where you're joining us from, man, by the way.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sitting here in the Queen City of the Midwest, beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, really? Dude, that's awesome, man. How long have you been in Ohio?
Pretty much my entire life. So they can't get rid of me.
Dude, so were you born in Ohio?
I was actually about probably 40 minutes from where I currently live. So I did move to the other side of the city, though. I want to make it clear. I've gotten outside of my my geographic parameters here.
Wow, that's awesome, man. So tell us a little bit about, what was that experience like growing up? And did you start Jeffries Marketing in Ohio?
I did, yeah. So I'm actually one of 5 kids, and I'm the oldest male and the second oldest child. So there was a lot of camaraderie and a lot of enthusiasm growing up, a lot of, honestly, a lot of culture, if you will. And so a lot of the things that I took or learned growing up with communication, with managing different people different ways, accommodating different personalities, things of that nature, have been crucial in my professional life. Not to mention the fact that I learned very quickly to focus and get a lot done and tune out outside noise, because I'm sure, as you can imagine, there was a lot of that going on growing up.
Oh, but 100%, man.
Actually had the chance to study marketing at the University of Cincinnati, came out and had the chance to work in marketing. I've been doing that for over a decade, or I guess coming up on a decade now. And have had kind of an interesting niche in healthcare marketing for about the last 5+ years, coming up on 6 years, I guess, a little bit longer than that. And then I've had the chance to work with a couple of different businesses in different life stages in things like event planning, hospitality, hotels, property management, and home improvement, and financial services, right? Kind of across the board, which has been fun, and currently cutting my teeth a little bit on some SaaS. So that's an exciting market, I can tell you.
Yeah, SaaS is really interesting. I've been in SaaS for so long now, and I'm building a SaaS company, and our company, Guy. And a lot of people don't understand SaaS is a journey. It's a marketing and positioning the product, and really actually understanding what the value that you deliver. Talk to us a little bit about, because you've been in marketing for quite some time. You know, what has been like your favorite project or, you know, business that you've consulted with? And, you know, what was that experience like for you?
I think probably my favorite project, if you will, is I lead marketing for a comprehensive outpatient addiction treatment provider called Brightview.
Wow.
And they serve mostly the Medicaid population. I would say about 90% of Brightview patients are Medicaid, with a fair amount of them being uninsured. And so it's fascinating to try to use modern marketing solutions to solve the problem of folks not being reachable, meaning like they're not in cars listening to the radio, they're not driving past billboards, they're not at home in their apartments watching TV. So you can't reach them through like OTT or broadcast. You can't reach them through radio or podcast sponsorships. You sort of have to look at their mobile phone and then isolate that particular population using just their phone and really serve them a message that encourages them to act against their biology. I mean, a chemical addiction is a disease, a chronic brain disease. And so how do you get them to act against their biological stimuli to actually seek help for that disease and that condition? And that has been a tremendous challenge. We've had to do, focus groups, surveys, one-to-one interviews, those sorts of things to try to figure out what messaging sticks, what has the action galvanization impact, if you will. What is sort of talking out of turn or can be offensive or can be a turnoff? What is too soft? What's too hard? I mean, there are just so many different balances that have to be struck in order to be effective in that market. It's much more challenging than selling particular other types of healthcare where there is a lot of knowledge around them, where folks might be actively seeking help for a particular condition and so on. So that I think is my favorite, probably because it's the most challenging or one of the most challenging.
Wow. Dude, it's very interesting because I think marketing is changing in so many ways, and sometimes people realize it and don't. But I think now you have to have a very community-driven, bottoms-up strategy. With your experience and some of the companies that you've worked with and partnered with and the companies you work for now, what are you seeing as a thought leader in the space?
That's exactly right. So I think marketing is, and we've been seeing this trend, I would say, since probably the dawn of Web 2.0 and social media and online forums and connectivity with other people. But marketing is really shifting away from what I would consider brands and consumers or brands and customers, and much more into people and people. And I'm not the person who coined the term, P2P marketing or H2H, human to human marketing. So I won't take credit for those, but I do think they're on point. And I think that marketers who are not recognizing that, who are still looking at building funnels, the numbers game, serving impressions to get conversions, that sort of thing, they're kind of missing the boat, and they're using old school tactics that just aren't working for most businesses, right? There's always the exception that can say, no, that's worked for me for 5 years and it still works. Fine, I won't argue with that. By and large, marketers, though, and the ones that are on the thought forefront, that are making the right moves, that are building and scaling businesses effectively, are recognizing that it's not a matter of strong brand rubrics with lots of regulation, towing the corporate line, branding and messaging and demand generation. Mostly, it's actually building those relationships, curating an audience first, and then really hitting them with those sorts of buying decisions, if you will. At least that's what I've seen from my work.
Yeah, no, dude, I love that. I think this audience building element is so important, and having leaders, whether it be the chief marketing officer or CEO, build that audience is really important. I think what I love about that too is like you have to really nurture the relationship. Dude, I get so much spam.
Yes,
from like sales people at some of the companies who've raised millions and billions, and I'm like, is this the best that your sales team has and your marketing team has? Like, this is not the way to get a conversion. And I think one of the big things I'm noticing is that when you automate sales or you automate marketing like that to a point where it feels just transactional, you lose so much as a brand.
Well, I'll say not only do you lose the opportunity cost, right? The Tim or the Colin or whoever you're trying to reach saying, I don't really want to do business with you, unsubscribe. You're also actually dampening your brand or damaging it in a lot of ways, because people are then turned off by your brand in that they don't want to engage, or to the extreme where they're annoyed. Like the
Yeah.
last thing that you want to do is be showing up in social media feeds, be inviting people to webinars, be spamming them with email, be hitting their mailbox with direct mail, frankly, and having them go, ugh, another ad from XYZ company.
Yeah.
I wish they would stop contacting me, right? It's almost like if we could see how annoying we are as marketers, if we could step back for a moment and go, I don't like it when people blow up my inbox with unnecessary spam. I don't like it when I open my mailbox and it's 15 postcards and letters that are all marketing materials. And we took that inclination and decided, I'm going to start marketing differently, because I do like it when somebody reaches out to me and they say, hey, here's this thing that could benefit your business. Here's this thing that could benefit you personally. And they walk me through the USPs, the unique selling proposition, which I think should be unique serving proposition. USP kind of flipped on its head a little bit, but we can get into that later. And they walk you through it, and all of a sudden you're building that relationship, you're building that rapport, and it's less spammy, it's less transactional. It doesn't feel like they're just in it to get in your wallet. And it's much more about, I'm providing value to you as a marketer, and you're receiving value as a customer who now we're in relationship. And when you need X service that I provide, you come back to me because you're part of my audience, you're part of my raving fans, as Chick-fil-A would call them. And then you are not only somebody who I can do business with, you can actually facilitate additional business for me. That's one of the reasons that I think leveraging your existing contacts or folks who have already done business with you is so crucial in continuing to grow and scale, because having somebody say, Colin is the best marketer in the world, is much different than having me say I'm the best marketer in the world. And I don't say that. I certainly don't claim to be the best marketer in the world, but you can imagine the difference between having somebody endorse you. I call that micro influence, because most of us have, and I'm not the only one that calls that micro influence, but generally speaking, that's called like micro influence, right? Where, Tim, you might tell 10 or 15 or 20 people, hey, you've got to meet this guy or this girl for this service or this product. And that endorsement carries so much more weight than them sending a bunch of blind emails in saying, let me tell you about this service or this product.
100%, man. Customer referrals. I'm having a partnership-based business, man. It's such a great way to get organic leads, and also get leads that are come from people who believe in your brand already. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's go down that lane, because I think we're seeing a shift in business to where I think some of the most successful companies now, they have a very strong community. A great example I'm seeing is Airbnb. They have an amazing community focused around their hosts, and they're always so connected with them. Do you believe that, the next era of marketing or just business will require companies to optimize for community?
It's a great question. So I think we're already seeing the requirement for companies to optimize for community. What I think will become even more clear is the difference between how small businesses or medium-sized businesses, we'll say businesses with sub 100 or in some cases sub 500 employees, are optimizing for community. Because it's easy when you are Airbnb, Microsoft, IBM, Tesla, Amazon, right, Virgin Group, any of these organizations that has tens or hundreds of thousands of employees. It's way easier. But it should be just as easy for regional or local SMBs who have, call it 50 to 500 employees in a restricted geographic area. Because if all you are doing is trying to elevate your business's reputation in Columbus, Ohio, in Flagstaff, right, in Phoenix, where you pick your city, you can be very focused on the messaging and the audience and the community. And so you're not necessarily trying to build this grandiose vision on LinkedIn or on Clubhouse or what have you. You're really focused on, hey, I want to reach folks who are geographically centric to this community. That's a concept called shrinking your universe, right? Wow. I don't have to be all things to all people all the time. As long as people think I'm good at this, as long as people understand I want to help them reach these goals, and as long as they're in geographical proximity to me, and I say geographical somewhat tongue-in-cheek, right? Because you could be a very successful Facebook business, and maybe your universe is Facebook, and a particular subset of users on Facebook, people who meet these psychographics. Maybe you're up and coming on Clubhouse, or you're really into NFTs or something of that nature, and you can find that niche. I'm just using city names as an example. So hopefully that's not lost on your audience. And Tim, I'll just add to that. I haven't said anything revolutionary. I probably haven't said anything that your audience doesn't already know, but oftentimes we get sort of hung up on known truths that we forget about them. And so sometimes it's helpful to just have somebody say, hey, remember that you know this. And it's easier to apply than you think in a lot of circumstances. The challenge is just not getting distracted by all of the new flashy things, because it's so easy to use LinkedIn to reach people 5,000 miles away, or it's so easy for you to be building a business on Facebook and to get distracted by Twitter Spaces or Amazon Live or any of these other kind of up and coming mediums that allow you to reach different people or new people in different ways.
I love that. I love this because I think we're diving deep on a topic a lot of founders and entrepreneurs, when they start their business, they struggle with, how do I find customers? How do I find a community? What's my first step? I've been grateful enough. I've been building a community around our company for so long now. We've inherently been able to find customers and people that believe in us. But for you, Colin, are there books, resources, right, outside of Jeffrey's marketing that have inspired your perspective and your framework?
Of course.
Could you share with us?
Yes. So I read quite a bit. I've been very influenced by Mark Schaefer. He's a fantastic author. He's written a lot of books just about perspectives within marketing. So I would highly recommend any book by Mark Schaefer. Tim Ash has a fantastic book about, it's called Unleash Your Primal Brain, Understanding the Human Operating System. That will give you it's evolutionary psychology. So it is kind of heady, and there are a lot of things that folks might disagree with philosophically, but he does get into understanding the actual chemical reactions that occur in your brain and how marketers often hijack those. I'll say as well that I'm trying to think of his name, and I can't. But there's a phenomenal book on negotiation that it wasn't Mike Sumi. It was he wrote Weekend Millionaire, or the Weekend Millionaire's Guide to Real Estate. It was his co-author, and I apologize, I can't think of what his name is. But his book on negotiation is, par excellence, fantastic. I've also been influenced from a sales perspective by Zig Ziglar, big reader of See You at the Top and Born to Win, and some of those books that Zig wrote related to just understanding people and helping build value. Kind of in that same vein, Bob Berg, his book, The Go-Giver, and the subsequent series that followed that, absolutely fantastic, understanding how you create value that's perceived and valuable, not just, because I think this is valuable, you'll think it's valuable, but actually understanding that. Those are just a high level, a few books that off the top of my head, I think are worth reading and have really shaped and influenced me. And of course, you can't get too far without getting away from just like fundamental economic theory and psychology and sort of mental theory, if you will, neurology. There's a book called Brandwashed that I believe Martin Lindstrom wrote that was very interesting, related to the neurology behind psychology and why we make decisions from sort of a neurological type of perspective. So all of those really help form, I think, and influence why I do certain things and how I do them. And they also, even if you're not in marketing, if you are a people leader and you read, Ken Blanchard or John C. Maxwell or some of these other prolific, phenomenal authors about what they think, that can definitely apply to marketing. And you can see it sometimes in marketing, which I love to see, where I'll see something and think, okay, they're trying to draw my attention to this and they're trying to get me to overlook that, or they're really trying to convey this message to an audience of middle-class women over 50, and I don't fall into that demographic, so it definitely doesn't speak to me. Or maybe they're trying to reach a demographic that I'm not part of, and it does speak to me, and that's where it gets really interesting.
Man, bro, you are preaching, bro. You are a master marketer, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. No, it's so true, man. Because so many people miss these basic fundamentals, and they get distracted by so many things that won't help you in your business goals, right? You know,
Exactly.
how can our amazing community connect with you, Colin, and the work that you're doing, Jeffries Marketing?
Absolutely. So I co-host the Rethink Marketing podcast, and the best way to get in touch with me is just through the rethinkmarketingpodcast.com. My email's on there. It's easy to connect with me. Or if you're not interested in picking up another podcast, that's it, and we talk a lot of sales and marketing theory, so that it doesn't appeal to most people. But if you are in sales and marketing, it's worth listening to, in my opinion. And LinkedIn is my social media platform of choice. That's where you'll find me engaging and posting. Unfortunately, I don't have the bandwidth to be super active on all of them, so I try to centralize my efforts.
Yeah, no, dude, I feel you, man. I sometimes feel I'm too active on LinkedIn, in my social media, man. People often think I'm a social media person, but I am not a social media person at all, man. With that said, Colin, thanks so much for being on the show today, man. We really appreciate you. And once more, man, what would be your final parting words of wisdom for a business owner out there right now who's a part of Team Guide and they are struggling with finding customers and getting sales leads? How do you suggest they approach converting customers?
Absolutely. It's challenging. Every business is different, but I think one thing that I have seen work pretty well is leveraging your people. So if you have 5 employees, they probably know 1,000 people each. That's 5,000 people where with no incremental spend, with minimal training, with minimal encouragement, you should be able to allow them to use maybe a stripped down version of your brand coordinated with themselves, with their personal brand, to reach their audience on social media in a way that allows them to express their passion for their job, their passion for their employer, and maybe their passion for their career trajectory. There are some very simple ways to do that, and we don't have time to probably unpack all of them. But I would say, to summarize that in one sentence, just don't overlook your people. And that might look like, I'm a solopreneur and I work with a lot of vendors, or I work with a lot of clients and things of that nature, where you can extrapolate that to reach the networks of your vendors, of your clients, of folks that you do business with, but they're not necessarily business partners or anything official, right? Where you refer business back and forth, things of that nature.
Wow, that's powerful, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Jeffries, for joining us today, man. Shout out to Jeffries Marketing and all the awesome work that they're doing. Make sure to check them out and definitely check out Rethink Marketing, the podcast. Colin, are we going to have you back in the future, man? Maybe after your book launch, hopefully.
Tim, I would love that. I can't wait.
Oh,
Probably
man,
2023, so maybe before then.
Hey, man, we'll wait out for you, man. Appreciate you, man.
Fantastic. Tim, thank you so much.
You too, man. Be well, bro. And that was the amazing Colin Jeffries. Make sure to check out Rethink Marketing and all of the amazing things he's doing. Check out his LinkedIn profile as well. Also, get your Big Black Tee, bigblacktea.com. We still have some inventory for you all. And we are working on a lot of really amazing things for our partners. We are growing our partner community for Big Black Tee. Check out bigblacktea.com to be an affiliate, be a partner, so we can lead this movement with you. In addition, we are working on a really, really cool surprise that we're going to announce next week. So for some of you who've been following us since day one, you all are going to be excited about this. It's going to be a huge surprise. It's going to be a huge announcement. You're going to love it. You're going to appreciate it. But we've been working on it for quite some time now. It's been one of the biggest goals on our business roadmap for this year. And we're excited to be announcing it next week. So stay tuned on what that surprise is. I'll share next week when I host a live with you all. So sign up for our beta at currentlyguidegroup.com if you're interested in being a part of our guide beta. We are gradually expanding day by day. We take things one day at a time at Guide. So sign up. Please sign up for our beta if you're interested in being a part of our movement and getting early access. With that said, thanks so much for tuning in and joining me. I'm not going to leave you cold. Going to leave you out with Naja Choppa Flex by your one and only. And then see you later. All right, y'all. Peace.
flex independent. Move fast with plans, big business. Bout cash, no flash, run the business. Girl, yes, we the winners. I'm in the horse, yeah, we be winning. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Don't shorty, I'm stripping with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Don't shorty, I'm stripping with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Don't shorty, I'm stripping with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Don't shorty, I'm stripping with the text. Bang, my label be the image. Shares, yeah, we got plenty. You deserve a percentage. Us, we only come for digits. Guy, we, they be winning. Guy style, we the signal. Pin it. BBT talk, yeah, she got figures. BBT bot, yeah, she be winning. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Told shorty, I'm struggling with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Told shorty, I'm struggling with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Told shorty, I'm struggling with the text. We pull up with the homies, yeah, not your flex. Told shorty, I'm struggling with the text. Now your style, man, we be killing. Fly gal, ooh, she be sinning. Bush boy, we only make killers.